Star Trek: The Next Generation was a show. Star Trek: The Next Generation. Everybody I interacted with. A show that I started watching when I was a really little kid. Can you believe it's been 30 years? Star Trek: The Next Generation first.
Star Trek: The Next Generation was my life.
I really grew up with this show.
My relationship to how I should conduct myself. It was the escape from reality. Welcome to Next Generation's First Generation, where Patrick Delmore and Sascha Schaudies take a look back into their favorite childhood show, Star Trek: The Next Generation. This is where we attempt to reconcile how we felt as children watching the show and looking back as old farts now in our late 30s, almost 40s. Social commentary and good old-fashioned shade-throwing on our favorite and least favorite episodes. Here comes Patrick and Sascha. Cell phones on silent, everybody. What is that? Oh, that's me!
That was you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was Nigel.
Hello, and welcome to a great episode of Next Generation's First Generation. We are back. It is episode 1 of season 3. We really hope that you enjoyed our Shore Leave series. We had a lot of fun reviewing Star Trek 5. We also watched Back to the Future Part 2. And there was probably some others in there too, but due to the magic of radio and time travel, we haven't actually recorded those yet, but I'm sure they were great. You can find those episodes on our Facebook page at Next Gen First Gen Pod. You can also find them on iTunes, on Stitcher, and then also, what was that? Who are those guys we partnered up with?
The Two True Freaks Network.
True Freaks Network. And they also have a gaggle of episodes that you can also listen to there. Our favorite is Star Trek Monthly Monday, Star Trek Monthly Monday, or something along those lines.
Hasn't had a new episode in over a year. We are poised. If we stay on track, we will overtake them on Next Generation episodes covered. Yep.
Whoa!
They have not finished season 3 yet.
So season 3 is absolutely amazing because we have lots of great episodes in there. One of them, my favorite that come to mind, is Who Watches the Watchers?
Yep.
That one I still love and hold dear to my heart, but we're not here for that. We are here for Evolution. Today we have a huge amount of guests with us, so we're going to start to our speaker right. We have the lovely Gemline.
Hello, with Pop-Tart in mouth.
Yeah, Pop-Tarts! Then we have our wonderful Matthew Kirshner. Hello, Matthew.
Hello.
Yes. Then we have our Patrick Delmore.
Yep, I'm the co-host and producer of this podcast.
I am also the co-host of this podcast, Sascha. And then we have our friend David.
Hey.
And then Nigel.
Hello from Next Generation's Second Generation.
Woo! There we go. It's a party today. So, without further ado, we ask that you please queue up your DVD, Netflix, or just stay where you are while you're sitting in traffic. And we're going to give you the countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Evolution. It chugs along slowly.
Did you intentionally say cue up the episode?
Oh, I should have. That would have been more interesting.
No cue this time.
He's not in this one.
No, he's not.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
So this is a good Wesley episode.
It's a great way to open any TV show is to put up a sign that says "Stand by."
I was wondering
slowly
about
pan
that.
around.
So,
This is a really good indirect observation shot, though.
do they not have a cure for acne in the 24th century?
They just cover it up.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Pancake makeup is the cure to acne.
Yes, sir.
Wesley overslept.
I'll be right there.
We get to see the lab.
Huh.
We see a lot of new camera angles that we haven't seen before. You're going to see some great ship camera work. I don't know if we ever mentioned this, but all the shots that they shoot, the Enterprise is actually upside down
Yep.
when they shoot these. And it's, of course, the camera panning in and out. It's not they're moving the ship around. There's our wild-eyed guest scientist for the series.
Who's in a lot of Star Trek.
And we've got the A plot introduced, it seems like. There's this special guest that's studying the level of neutronium.
Yes.
I love that his jacket is just, a 1989, jacket that you would find. They probably just walked into wardrobe.
Very history professor right there.
Or he could be like at the next dig at Risa, digging up some ancient archaeological site.
It looks fuzzy though. It doesn't look like it's tweed.
Or he was late to call for the episode.
Yeah.
And just came with what he was wearing.
It's like, fix his cravat and get him on stage.
So this guy right here, his name's Ken Jenkins. Sorry.
Not the Jeopardy guy.
He's
exactly what I was thinking.
From Dayton, Ohio, by the way.
Oh.
Shout out to our Ohio folks.
On a lazy Sunday afternoon in 1903. Nobody knows that song but me, okay.
I was too focused on Dayton, Ohio and feeling sorry for...
That's the name of the song, is Dayton, Ohio, 1903.
This guy's have been in Babylon 5, Star Trek Next Generation, X-Files.
Scrubs.
Yep, Scrubs.
Don't want none.
Yeah.
Everybody knows this is the last non-cliffhanger series premiere of the show.
That's true.
Right?
They also got new uniforms for this season, so
Oh yeah,
you'll perpetually see Captain Kirk or Captain Picard pulling his shirt down for the rest of the series.
So we kind of talked right over what's happening. There's a scientist who's here to launch this probe, which looks like a hexagonal egg. And oh my gosh, people are falling and rolling.
Acting!
Everybody else knows how to stand except for the scientist.
Yeah, that guy looks like someone grabbed him and chucked him into the wall.
We don't know why, but the ship is just flopping all over the place. They even move the camera back and forth. Very cool.
The egg is leaking some sort of gas.
Yeah.
Well, actually, when they produced Star Trek here, they put the whole bridge scene and the others were on hydraulic lifts.
What?
So they don't actually... They shook the camera in the original series. This one, they actually are tossing these people around.
Really? I'm gonna have to Snopes that. I don't believe it. So, here we go. Star Trek Next Generation.
And the new opening.
Yeah.
This is the rule, Nebula good.
Which nebula?
We opened with a nebula, so we know it's going to be a good episode.
Huh, I didn't know that was a trait.
Smiley Face Planet.
So this episode came out September 25th, 1989. September 25th and 26th and 23rd have all been really lucky dates for season openers for Star Trek. This episode was directed by Winrich Colby. I can read. Michael Pilner helped write this story with Michael Wrangler. Teleplay by good friend Michael. Featured music by Ron Jones. Ron Jones forever.
Starting out strong.
Yep. And we also have Marvin Rush did the cinematography. So this here, we've got Ken Jennings. We're going to see Whoopi Goldberg.
Ken Jenkins.
Jenkins.
Not the Jeopardy guy.
Listen to what I mean, not what I say, please. And then also, we have Dr. Beverly Crusher is back from Starfleet Medical.
Yeah! Mm-hmm. Which is kind of a bummer. I never got to see the send-off for Pulaski.
There was no send-off.
Yeah, it was literally Captain Picard saying, "We've taken the liberty of packing your bags for you. There's the door."
That's cold. What did she do?
Nothing.
No, but that didn't happen.
And from this,
she's in the last episode, but that's it.
But they didn't do like a farewell party or something for her.
And now I think from this point forward, Majel Barrett does the computer voice. Because if you remember, they have 2 or 3 different voices before in the first and second season.
I wanted when Jenkins is over there, grabbing that guardrail on the bridge, to have Picard say, "It's good strong oak, Dr. Stubbs. Hold tight."
That's a beautiful shot. The light on the saucer section.
Yeah, they changed it for the HD. It's not they're not using a model in that. They just CGI'd it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very similar to what the Enterprise looks like in the last episode of Enterprise.
Everyone's looking around, confused. They're stuck in this matter stream. In the HD version, entering the matter stream, it looked a lot more jazzy. Looks like Stubbs hurt his back.
Don't call a medical team. Just lay him down. Riker knows what he's doing, right? It's Riker. Now, the reason that these are not shown as widescreen, even though they were shot widescreen, is that everybody knew when they were out of shot and just started acting goofy. Like, if you put it back to widescreen, you'd see vacuum cleaners and just people completely relax. And
Riker smoking a cigarette.
Jennings and Riker are probably joking with each other. Never liked the design of the sick bay on the ship.
Really?
Yeah, because they're like, people are like right in the middle of the room. Like, if anybody goes in there, it's like, oh yeah, the visiting guest, Dr. Stubbs, is like right here on display being examined.
Well, I always saw it as like a triage area. Honestly, I think Voyager did their sick bay pretty well, where they have the actual surgical bay in the back.
Yeah.
With almost like a compartment similar to what reminded me of the transporter room, where you have that semicircle where you can put up fields and fill it with gas, and people turn into lizards. It's wonderful. They have a dedicated lizard room.
But we forgot to mention Dr. Crusher's back. Wesley and his mom.
Don't you know anything about me?
Yeah.
Don't you read my books?
So what Jem is talking about for the listeners there is Stubbs is talking about how great he is, and he met the smart kid on the ship, and they're kind of kibitzing a little bit. Also, Stubbs is talking about, what's it like having your mom on board? I would hate that, but you seem to be doing okay. And Wesley politely says, well, I don't really have time. I've got school and studies, and I take credit for being on the ship, but I really want to be in the academy.
So would you say that's the B plot?
The Beverly and Wesley?
Yeah.
Or the Stubbs and Wesley?
Just Wesley in general.
Yeah, Wesley's the B plot. They really had to make this a Wesley episode to help bring Beverly back in.
Computer deactivate boot slot.
She doesn't miss a beat coming back. It's like she had never left.
Exactly.
If anything, I think she came back a better actor or actress.
I suppose. She's a producer and a puppeteer. Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, the writing is significantly better in Season 3, so I think you see the characters a lot better defined than they were in the first two seasons.
Yeah. So we have mysterious, unreported problems. So the first initial problem pushed the Enterprise into the stellar mass matter stream, caused Dr. Stubbs to stub his toe or his back. Then the food slot isn't working. But the problem is the ship isn't reporting these as errors or problems.
And unplugging and plugging back in is not an option here.
Yeah, unfortunately not. That worked really well with the last outpost. Just turn the ship off, and turn it back on again. It worked with the Iconia episode.
Beverly, isn't it just a matter of time?
So now they're talking about Wesley.
So if you were 17 and you were working on your dreams, would you want your mother sitting there watching you?
That's a really good question.
Depends on the dream.
It depends if your dream is to be a psychiatrist, then sure.
Yeah, but at 17, there's a lot of people still living at home with their parents.
Right, and he spent a year away. He spent a year away from his mom.
Yeah,
we don't know how often he went to visit her at Starfleet Medical at all. If he did, we never saw it.
Probably never.
Even if it was monthly, that's still quite a bit of time away from your parents on a military ship. I mean, it's like being at sea on an aircraft carrier for a year as a kid.
Does he have many friends?
It's cute. Beverly is trying to catch up with Wesley and what he's up to and who he is now.
Yeah, it's like you're asking the one guy who's most uncomfortable with children on the ship. Does he have friends?
She's trying unsuccessfully to humanize him. It's like an empathetic person would tell me these things.
Right, but I would have gone to Riker and asked him, does he hang out with people? Because Riker's his buddy, his mentor. Yeah.
Riker would wind her up, though. He'd be like, Well, I don't know about love, but there are some things a boy doesn't tell his mother and grin and wink at her.
But that's kind of what she's looking for. That he's being a regular boy, not that Picard's doing exactly what she didn't want. Oh yeah, he goes to the library, and I think I've seen him read a book once or twice.
Yeah, I like this.
Gets his hair cut regularly.
Yeah, that was really interesting. She's like, why isn't he getting into trouble? He's a 17-year-old boy.
Yeah.
But then the follow-up statement is when Beverly asked, what's it like to have... How would you feel, Picard, if your mom was on the ship at 17? And Picard said, I'd feel inhibited.
Right, that's true.
It's like the mom's just down a corridor away.
Oh, another one of these. The Wonderkind speech.
The Wonderkind? So what's the Wonderkind speech?
Basically, he's saying that when he was a child, he was called a Wonderkind. This is Dr. Stubbs talking now. And how great it is. I mean, this is the world that Wesley grew up in. Is everybody tells him that he's going to be like the greatest thing in the universe. You're a boy now, but you're going to be a man one day, and what a man you'll be. And
no pressure.
Yeah.
Visual contact. That's impossible.
You know, that's really interesting because Wesley is looking at the person that he could become.
Yeah.
And Mr. Stubbs sees this and kind of waxes poetic about how great Wesley will be by looking at how great he is.
Staying with continuity, they're still super paranoid about the Borg.
Oh, did they say the Borg?
Yep.
I missed that.
Yeah, the computer's saying that a Borg vessel is approaching them.
Absolutely. Nobody's thinking to go look out a window.
Yeah. Like Geordi did that one time that worked really well.
We do have to apologize if you hear our upstairs neighbor walking back and forth. It does come up on the recording at times.
It is conceivable that he was viewing a synthetically generated image, sir.
So what is going on? There's something wrong. The computer is coming up with its own... It's coming up with its own things. It's opening and closing doors. The washing machine is throwing socks out at Commander Data.
And it's throwing out chess moves.
Hey, Captain, you like my fan fiction here?
Yeah.
You start hearing Data's erotic literature of using metric and standard size sockets for...
Well, I think that was their code when they would say, you know, Data's poetry or Worf's Klingon opera, that it was something that would be uncomfortable to listen to. But they've had their fan fiction episode. That was the Royale.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Well, see, now they're accustomed to computer malfunction already. We've seen this several times. So I think right now Picard's just frustrated that the ship's not working.
Again.
So, yeah, again.
Well, they have a guest, too. Somebody who's prestigious enough to have his own autobiography.
Oh, yeah. Because nobody else on the ship of 1,400 people, or 1,100 people, don't have an autobiography.
He's the one that...
Well, do they wear a tweed jacket, though? That's the important thing.
He's wearing two jackets if you look closely. You know, that's a symptom of mental illness.
Sorry, David, you were going to say something?
I don't know, wait, I thought his mom wrote his biography.
Oh, yeah, that's right. His mother wrote the biography. That's...
No, the problem is that, like, this is the guy that, like, you know, is going to be at all the parties with all of, you know, the Admiralty and whatever, and it's like, somebody will mention the Enterprise, and he'll go, oh, well, when I was there, all this crazy stuff happened. It's like, oh, dear. And they will Twitter and... you know, fan their folding fans and
like admirals do. Well, that's the discussion they're having right now. Is that Stubbs needs to be reassured. It's like, I need a ship that works because this experiment can only be done once every 200 years.
When that star explodes, you will get to watch it experiment, the inside out.
I would rather die than leave.
Wait, what's his... I missed that. So what's his experiment?
So his experiment, the star is about to explode, more or less. But not in a catastrophic way, in a controlled way that happens every 200 years. And Stubbs has created this device to fly into the star and monitor the explosion. And Picard says, hey, if we don't fix the ship, we're going to explode with the star.
So a pretty kind of important thing just happened here.
Right.
What's that?
Is Deanna Troi went in her immediately the whole, I'm sensing your feelings and I'm doing this. And Dr. Stubbs shut her down pretty rightfully so by saying, thank you, but if I want your opinion or, of my feelings announced to the room, I'll ask for it.
And it is a violation to do that.
Yeah, it basically. Yeah,
she of all people should know that.
To just call out what people are thinking.
Yeah, you don't walk in the room and say, Nigel, I'm sensing that you're very apt. You don't just announce that to people without asking. It's especially from she is a medical. Would you consider it a medical professional?
So it would be
on this series. Yeah, it would be multiple things. Doctor, patient. I mean, you don't just psychoanalyze somebody in front of everybody without first discussing it.
Well, they do operations on people right in the middle of sick bay. Perhaps HIPAA has changed in the 25th century.
And it's possible.
So look at it another way. If Dr. Crusher was there and was just holding a tricorder next to this guy while he's talking and interrupts him saying, excuse me, but your blood pressure just shot up 10 points. I think that you're getting agitated.
Well, not even that. It would be more something like, this, crazy disease that nobody else knows you have.
What would Pulaski do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Pulaski's just rude enough to do that, but it is a big thing. It's just one of those, I wouldn't be comfortable with Deanna Troi always being around.
This right here is where B-plot meets A-plot, so Wesley just realized his experiment is what caused the problem. But instead of going to the captain, he's gone down to the kitchen to set rat traps.
I think that Pulaski and Stubbs have very similar personalities, and that she probably would have gone to been like, hey, let's go to my quarters. I can make you some soup. We can we can sit and talk about the experiment, just the two of us, no interference from the captain.
There you go.
Cheating on Worf, man.
Yeah.
These two are a good pair.
Well, because we began with them at the beginning of season 2 also, which was where they were looking out from 10 forward, and she's asking him, what it is that he wants to be.
Huh. It's an interesting little bookend there.
But what it is that I think that there was a worry that Beverly wouldn't be back, so she had to kind of fill that mother role for Wesley. Now she's going to shirk that role. Not in a bad way, but just like hand the reins back to Beverly.
Well, she's more the bartender friend now.
Yeah. But previously she was kind of trying to help Wesley to guide his destiny.
So he's setting these traps, and he's thinking they're all over the ship, right?
Yes.
But he's setting the traps like 8 feet apart.
That's a lot of ship to cover.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, what does he have? Does he have like 6 million of these traps he's going to have to lay down on his hands and knees?
If he was smart, he'd just beam them. He'd just go to the transporter room and then distribute them amongst the ship.
Yeah, but that would set off all sorts of alarms.
So Wesley kind of politely and quietly lays down just how bad this is that nanites are these high-tech microscopic machines that love to self-replicate. And that's exactly what's happening, and Wesley's trying to catch them all, but he knows that he's screwed up really bad.
So he's got these nanites, and the way he stores them is basically in like a Starfleet-issued peanut butter jar.
Pretty much.
And he says, no, I don't have to do anything, I just unscrew the lid.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope they don't fly away or, blow out of there.
Now, don't they kind of go back and forth on this, that he has his own quarters and then that he lives with his mom? Or is that when he starts coming back to visit that he always has to stay with his mom?
I think he's got his own quarters because she just called him because...
yeah, she was in his quarters.
Yeah, she went to see him in his quarters.
I think they had probably a dinner date, like, hey, we're going to have dinner together.
Can we also talk about how he was like, it has gigabytes of computer memory?
Yeah.
Talking about, back then versus now. It's like,
it can store up to 5 songs!
Hasn't, Data's processing capability already been exceeded?
Yes, that's correct. But not to that compact size, though. Here's our nervous tweaker doctor here. I think he just did a whole bunch of speed, and his whole job this episode is to walk around the ship nervous, scratching and picking at his skin.
Door did not respond. Repeating sequence.
Really?
Yeah, the Star Spangled Banner? No.
Look at how Worf is standing. Who am I supposed to salute right now?
Yeah. Can you... Black hole, son!
Won't you come? It's actually kind of funny that they didn't do... if this was the Orville, it'd totally be Black Hole Sun.
Yeah.
More errors.
No, it would be Swinging on a Star by Dean Martin.
Yeah, there you go.
Just from Worf's expression in that scene, I'm imagining that, like, at the Academy they have this celebration called Colonial Flag Day, where they just carry all of the Earth flags, like, around, and all the history buffs, like, Picard shows up, wearing, the coquettish hat and everything.
Someone comes and puts one of those triangle hats on the Worf.
Yeah, exactly.
So, if you remember the Lieutenant Yar, no vaccine, no Lieutenant Yar episode. Do you recall that?
Oh, yeah.
And we were talking about the spandex uniforms and how they probably just take them off and throw them in the dumpster, and they probably complain about how terrible they are. Well, they did. So, Matt, you were saying that they came up with new uniforms. These are actually 2-piece wool uniforms they're wearing here. So they switched from the spandex, and Patrick Stewart just simply said the new uniforms don't hurt.
Huh.
Lost to impatience.
You look awfully warm, though.
But Lord help you if you have an itch.
Oh, yes.
Great players make the great plays.
Oh, this is so Stubbs is telling Wesley about how he used to play baseball in his head.
Why does Star Trek have an obsession with baseball? That's what I want to know.
It's just this guy and Cisco.
Times it back.
That's too many times. Baseball's a terrible sport. Why can they fixate on something like rugby or there you go.
Yeah.
Or
no, they have that
or cricket.
They have that made up game, Parisi Squares.
Yeah,
which
that's
has
right.
gone over all 3 of the Next Generation era shows. And for some reason, they had a fixation with water polo and Enterprise.
Oh well, just that one guy, and you'd always watch old broadcast.
No, they were
episodes.
current broadcasts. He was watching current water polo matches. It was weird that of all the sports they could pick. But.
So here Stubbs is talking with Wesley again in the cargo bay about how great he is and how terrible he's going to miss his big shot.
To make this baseball metaphor, that his experiment is delayed 196 years on account of rain. Yeah.
So Wesley is kind of pulling a Mordock play. So do you remember when Mordock, or it wasn't Mordock, it was another Benzonite, he discovered a problem but didn't tell anybody until it was the last possible moment.
But that was because he was getting yelled at by Worf a bunch.
That's true.
That
Well,
wasn't for no reason.
Wesley is kind of embarrassed. He wants to find the problem because he's the star pupil. He's the prize winner.
Always gets an A, he told Brennan.
And
just
so,
like Dr. Frankenstein.
That's right. So he's in competition with himself. He wants to solve the problem because he doesn't want to be a burden on the ship.
It's okay. Really.
He suspects that
Why do moms always do that? Like,
Do what?
you need to get some rest. It's like, the last thing I need right now is somebody telling me I need to get sleep. I mean, has that ever really gone over with people?
You're not
stress
Go to
situation.
sleep.
You're not 9 years old anymore. You can't stay up all night at a tree with a baggie of apple juice and be fine to go to school the next morning.
Who actually really did that?
Nobody.
You stayed
I
outside
like
with a
that.
baggie of apple juice when you were 9.
Fly in a juice box.
Yeah.
Capri Sun.
That's what I was thinking.
No,
Capri
look-
Sun.
Look at this.
Eyeshadow?
Wesley.
Yeah.
Wesley is arguing with Beverly. He's saying, look, I'm doing everything that everybody wants me to do. This is the first time we actually see the true Wesley coming out.
He's doing everything that everybody wants me to do, but is he doing what he wants to do?
That's right. Well, that's why he's wearing eyeshadow. He's channeling his inner Captain Jack, the pirate.
Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow.
Wesley?
I'm your mother. Look at me.
Take your hand out of the cookie jar.
Button up those pants you're wearing.
Yeah. All that's in there is raisins and a couple of chunks of oatmeal.
I'm really frustrated that Beverly's making the presentation.
Right?
Wesley.
Or like any of the other yellow shirts there.
Sitting there looking away.
He's in the back like, la 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 la.
Like I learned this first year at Starfleet Academy.
I could see Riker be like, so Wesley, what your mother is telling us is that...
Yeah.
So Wesley's mom, tell us more about what Wesley did.
Yeah, attention all hands, Wesley's mom has an announcement to make, you know.
Yeah. Wasn't Worf the one that was in charge of making sure Wesley went to bed on time?
Yeah, that's right. And Riker was in charge of the studies.
Yep.
I think there was a joke about Data in there, too.
Yeah. The spanking machine.
Oh, man.
I like how it's microscopic, but he has tweezers that can pick it up.
Yeah. They're
Wow.
they're
good
micro tweezers. So
Yeah.
you can see the part that you hold, but the part that functions you can't see.
As you can see, they're able to mechanically replicate themselves.
It is
And
conceivable
the
that
Nutcracker
the
ballet starts playing as soon as they show them on the screen.
I was actually thinking about that old worm/snake game.
Oh, Centipede.
Yeah.
Engineering.
Here's Data's, Data is math magic right here. He's about to calculate just how many nanites we have.
Factor 1000.
There's something wrong with that display.
Yeah.
So they're the nanites, and they're eating the computer.
Perhaps if we had direct TV, we'd get a clearer picture.
Get rid of all the
And
nanites.
who cares? The answer is simple. Call an exterminator.
Finally, we are getting to the moral implications. Is that, do we kill the nanites to save the project, or do we let them survive?
It's not just saving the project, it's saving the ship.
Yeah.
And again, this is a military ship, so...
This is like the idea that, like, wasps can build a nest, they're intelligent, don't kill them.
Yeah, you're in a potentially dangerous situation, a star collapsing.
But these just aren't any ordinary wasps. It's a brand new thing. We've never seen wasps.
So on a research ship or a civilian ship, yes. On a military ship, the safety of the ship, they will.
But this isn't a military vessel.
It is a military vessel.
It's a scientific exploration.
A scientific mission on a military vessel. That's why they have military rank. Weapons. It's an armed ship. They have admirals. They are the military arm of the Federation. If it were just purely scientific, it would be a civilian thing launched by the Daystrom Institute. And you wouldn't have people in military uniforms, with military ranks. And
look at him slick back.
These people
That was a very interesting discussion that they just had.
These people are accepting the whole thing remarkably well. Like, do they kind of hate Dr. Stubbs?
I think so.
He's an arrogant guy, yeah.
Just fuck that guy and his experiment.
Exactly.
Go nanites!
I need a computer that is 100%.
Jem, did you want to cover something really quick?
Kind of off of what David was saying is that, they want to save the nanites, and Stubbs and Picard were having this really interesting discussion about, well, nanites, they may or may not be living creatures. Do we want to exterminate an entire living race?
Yeah.
And Stubbs is like, but it's destroying things.
That's
You
right.
should destroy it. And so that was I just thought that was a really interesting.
Yeah, and he'll make a pretty good case for defending himself later on. Because he's going to attribute it to basically a bacterial infection is alive.
Right.
But we have no problem eradicating that.
And that's the thing is, like, do you try to save the life of something that's destructive?
Well, what happened was Stubbs decided to take matters in his own hand. He went down to the computer core and he just shot the computer to kill nanites. And now the nanites are trying to kill everybody on the ship. They've changed. You can see this fog effect. There's poison in the air.
It was nitrogen oxide, which is laughing gas.
Shouldn't all their voices get super high too? No, that's helium.
Yeah. What I'm kind of surprised is that they don't have like emergency breathing gear.
Yeah.
It's the bridge. I mean, I understand the rest of the ship, but they should all have a compartment at their station or something. Or somebody walks over to the wall and just pulls out basically breathing masks, and Worf should be distributing those immediately.
Yeah, the panels will blow up if they get bumped hard enough, but they won't help you breathe if anything goes wrong.
No choice.
Stubbs is
Something's happening. Everybody show me your hands. Hands, people. We got to make it to the turbo lift.
Stubbs looks very smug and proud of what he did.
Yeah, I don't have to follow your rules.
Any man, woman, or child on this ship is harmed as a result of your experiment. I will have your head.
Yeah.
That's right. So
That is true. Yeah, it doesn't. No matter how much of a ranking, whatever he is, Captain Picard is the captain of the ship, and so it doesn't matter what. I mean, you could be a U.S. senator on a ship. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When it comes to the safety and security of the ship, the captain maintains complete control.
I don't know if I've ever heard him speak so sternly to any other guest on the
Picard?
show. Yeah.
It's very rare that he pulls out the jerk card, but
Yeah.
he does it more often.
Super Mr. Businessman he didn't like. The frozen...
Oh, yeah,
the
that's
frozen
true.
businessman when he got on the bridge and
Yeah.
decided he wanted to negotiate with the Romulans.
You see a lot more of that.
And that strategy guy from the last season,
Oh, yeah.
when he was chewing out Riker for no reason.
He's actually...
But he wasn't like, I will have your head. He was just like, you do not speak
He's,
about my crew
Stubbs
that
is
way.
behaving kind of the opposite of his character on Scrubs, who was just profit, didn't
Yes.
care about. Now he's willing to die for science.
With intelligence, there is the capability of language, but it will depend on how far
So,
evolution
all of a sudden, we don't really know why the errors have just kind of corrected themselves. They found the light switch, they turned the lights on the bridge back on, and Data's got this idea of maybe we can talk to the nanites somehow. Which makes me wonder how the nanites would relate to Data. Because he's just a big version of them.
That's what I was going to ask. So they're just little computers. A whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just got
Here it is again, more. I'm Deanna Troy. I'm going to force my empathy on everybody.
to break the ship.
Never really thought about it that way. Just like, I'm going to force empathy on you.
She really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The character's pretentious.
Yeah, she thinks everybody wants her help or needs her help.
What is it that has
Well, she's a counselor. It's kind of her job to help people.
It is, but but again, if a patient says who is of sound mind and judgment says I don't want your treatment, the doctor can't just keep showing up at your house saying no, I'm going to come here and we're going to talk. Well, no, I don't
You
want to
have
talk
feels.
to you. Yeah, it's just.
I will show you New Manhattan. Beth Dillon.
I don't understand this conversation, why it's even going down.
Laugh over glasses of champagne.
Like, is he trying to come on to her right now?
Yeah.
Self-portrait.
Well, not really come on to her, but
So polished.
he's trying to put her off by making off-putting comments to her. Is what I think.
And if you find
So she's basically saying, I am impervious. Fine, don't share your feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's only going to be a detriment to you. So they're basically having, like, a standoff.
Yeah, I really don't understand what purpose this scene plays other than to show off that this guy is not going to budge emotionally. He is stuck in his character. He says, I've done nothing wrong. And look, there's a fish tank in this scene, which is kind of cool. We don't see a lot of fish tanks on this show.
Yeah, I think this is more of and he buttoned his sweater vest up crooked.
Yeah, I think I just saw a sweat stain there.
But it's more of it's more of a him. It's no one's ever rejected Deanna Troy, really. At least that we've seen on the show. Everyone's always been, deeply moved by her insides, and he's more like, just get away from me. I have absolutely no desire to interact with you whatsoever.
So here he is, sitting in his quarters, playing a game in his head, a baseball game. And something very interesting is going to happen. The nanites have figured out he is responsible, and they're going to attack him directly with that cool blue lightning effect.
I think we should also note that I think this is one of the few times we've ever seen somebody on Star Trek wearing socks.
Really?
I imagine they get rid of socks in the 25th century.
You never see anybody usually without their boots off, and if they do, it's they have alien feet, and they can't wear boots. But this guy's wearing some wool socks. I mean, he's pretty predominant. They're right in front of the camera.
Super.
How did he? This is bad extra work.
Yeah.
It's like he didn't know that door wouldn't open when he tried to walk through it. But he pushes both hands on it in front of him. So it's like, that's not a defensive posture to go into if you hear somebody screaming. It's to run toward them.
Yeah. And then the guy collapses his arms and he can barely hold it. It's like, really? It's like,
obviously, the actor knew the door wouldn't open, and they told him, you're going to have to brace yourself on the prop. But
You must protect me.
So Stubbs understands that he's being targeted. And he's pleading the captain, please kill these nanites. Meanwhile, Data's pulling some data magic. This is one of those things where the situation is so complex that only Data can save the day. And we see a lot of episodes like that, where if it weren't for Data, the ship would have been lost 10 times over.
well, there's also going to start being everything would have been fine if not for Data episodes, too.
Oh, kind of like the one where he reaches out on the ham radio to that little kid?
Yeah, well, the little kid on the ham radio reached out to him.
But he replied.
I was going to kind of compare this to the nanites. Just decide to say the same thing. Look at the computer records. Like, even make the voice sound like that. Data, we're little and stuck in the computer.
Well, there's the message right there, flashing in binary. Everyone's looking at it like, what the heck is going
As
on?
we continue, Captain, they are virtually learning the concept of communication.
it's like, why do you even need Troy here for this? They are machines. They have no empathy. What is she gonna? What use would she have that she needs to be right there?
She needs to fill the shot.
I mean, it just
Maybe she can diffuse the tension of all the humans that are there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody gets tense and she cracks a joke.
Yep.
Throw away into the record book, Doctor?
Well, she's never been one to defuse a situation.
It's true, but it's technically her job.
Yeah. Man, everybody just loves crowding around this console.
right.
They're showing off the ability that they put the camera in the console. Well, to be honest, this is one of the first of many shots we're going to see of the console being used. Because up until this point, they never really used the science stations. And this is a whole new arena of the bridge that they can utilize. It's like, I always wondered if it was like a cost-cutting feature. It's like, well, we could build a whole new lab set, or we could just go back to this console.
I think it's more of a. They didn't. Again, it was the writing style. The writers they had in seasons 1 and 2 just really didn't know what they were working with.
It's the same writers, though.
No, it's a new. Wasn't it Rick Berman's more in charge now? And
Not even.
When does he start taking over?
I don't know, but he's not. He has nothing to do with it at this point.
Well, Michael is the one who wrote this.
Yeah, Michael Pillar was the big guy.
And he's been around for a long time.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, but he wasn't in
He
charge.
wasn't. He had nothing. I don't think he was around for the first 2 seasons at all.
That was Maurice Hurley was
Yeah.
in charge of those, and I know he was. And he even admits he really didn't know what he was doing because he wasn't a sci-fi writer. He could write the stories, but he wasn't deeply invested in this stuff. And
So we just missed an important scene where Data was saying, this is how we are going to conquer them. I am going to give them a really big display of trust by letting them pretty much go through me and check me out. And everybody's like, that's a big risk. And he's like, yeah, but I think that we can start to negotiate peace once they have that trust in me. So I think that's what they're looking to do.
And I agree with that would be an unacceptable risk. If anything, you link them up to the holodeck and let them choose a form.
Yeah, don't risk your officer.
Your strongest officer who has the ability, which we will see later on, to basically seize control of the ship in a blink of an eye.
It's good character acting for Data here.
Yo, Brett Spiner's a fantastic actor.
That voice to me sounds kind of like it's being done by Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah, I can kind of hear that.
Yeah, I could hear that.
So this is basically like poltergeist situation here?
Yeah, so Data basically got a technologically equivalent of a turkey baster and injected himself with a whole bunch of nanites. Wow. And now the nanites are in his body, and And
don't even know how to respond to that.
Yeah.
You should just move on. That's how you should do.
Picard missed an important thing when he was
Not nanite idea.
When Picard began to say we mean no harm to any living creature, he forgot to say that it's like, harm can still be unintentionally caused by misunderstandings.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Just because you didn't mean it doesn't mean you didn't do it.
Just blew him away.
What's that, David?
I'm sorry I threw the frisbee into your backyard.
No, this is more like, I'm sorry I sprayed your children with bleach. When he shot that radiation beam in there. Granted, I would have done the same thing, and I would have sterilized the whole computer core.
Watching this scene as a child, I found it very scary that the nanites did not understand the term "at your mercy."
Oh,
because that means they didn't understand empathy. They didn't understand the rules of combat.
Huh.
The rules of combat is not to annihilate your victim. I'm going to sound a little Goldacoshish here, but the idea is to make them submit and follow along with what your agenda is. And
relocation.
The nanites are just all about, no, you're trying to kill us, so we're trying to kill you. A very binary way of looking at things.
A very basic way of looking at things, too. Bear in mind, the nanites are fairly young as far as development.
Yeah. So, all of a sudden the episode is over. Look at that. They met with the nanites. The nanites say, we've looked beyond conflict. We're looking to resettle somewhere else. So, through the magic of data, he got them to behave in time to launch this probe.
Wesley is a god at 17, apparently, with no deleterious effects.
Considering that...
Yeah, I know. Everyone's like, you just need somebody in the background to go, we're just going to ignore the fact that Wesley just created a new civilization requiring a planet. That, no, nobody. All right, I'll just go back to my console then.
He should put that on his resume. I started a civilization. So, David, you were saying?
Oh, just hopefully the fact that this mission was almost ruined will teach people to not put all your egg in one basket.
Oh,
yeah.
Well done.
She just walks up and puts it up.
Gummy bears and wine, Doctor.
So,
Doctor's favorite.
So here we're gonna watch something very interesting here.
It's kind of like a handoff between caretakers.
Yes, and then Beverly's about to see Wesley stroll in with these random friends that we never see again.
Did he grow out of it?
I think that's in this episode, right? Where she looks at the kids and say, see, now that's a normal 17-year-old thing to do.
Shapes her child in ways she doesn't even realize. Sometimes just by listening.
I kind of think that Beverly feels regret that she raised her kid to be a boy genius.
See? Now that is healthy for a boy his age. I mean that as a doctor, not as just a mother.
What? What does that mean? Psychologically? Seeing friends? Talking to literally a table full of women?
All wearing the same color outfit?
Yeah, I don't think there's a single guy there.
No, there's another guy there.
Oh, is there? Okay.
What do you know about this girl?
Oh, really? What do you know about this girl? This woman?
What's her name? I need access to her medical records and fertility studies and everything else.
And that girl grew up to be Megan McCain.
Ha! Megan McCain.
Really?
Because they're both on The View together.
I got it.
Yeah. Well, geez, there we go. That was season 3, episode 1. That's a good opener for season 3.
Let's quickly go around and give our how many Dr. Stubbs jackets.
Yeah. How many buttons on Dr. Stubbs' jacket?
Being that Dr. Stubbs was wearing 2 jackets and a long sleeve shirt.
That other one was a vest.
Oh, was a vest? Oh, okay.
How many Dr. Stubbs clothing layers would you give this?
You know what? If Star Trek didn't copy and paste the pattern of angry scientist takes matters into their own hand and tries to kill something, because we see this pattern replicated about 3 or 4 more times, like with the crystalline entity, and the bot The exocomp scientist is another person who tried to take matters in their own hands. So
yeah, the crystal entity scientists actually didn't want to study it, wanted to destroy it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
The opposite of the usual thing.
True, but to get back to it, it's a good episode because we're creating a new civilization where we're lightly, it's in a very vanilla way where we're trying to work out who they are, and well, please don't kill us and we won't kill you, and we'll find you a new home. We have the angry doctor who just is focused on their work and he wants to do good things for the Federation and bolster his career. We've got Wesley kind of growing up. We see him arguing with his mom. We see him dating mystery girls that we never see again at the end of the episode. We see Beverly trying to reintegrate herself, I think successfully, back into the ship. You see a lot of scenes where she's talking to folks and just trying to, like I said, reintegrate. So I would give this about maybe 3 layers or 4 layers of Dr. Stubbs clothing, of Dr. Stubbs jackets. I don't know. What do you think there, Pat?
Yeah, it's resetting the status quo. It's like, here's what it's been, here's what it's going to be like. The Borg are mentioned. Beverly Crusher is back. Guinan's still there. Wesley's still on the ship. Everybody's heavily invested in what's going to happen to Wesley. It's just saying, this is what Star Trek's going to be for another minute and a half.
So you're suggesting that it's just a standard reset episode?
Yeah, it's standard reset episode.
Okay.
Nothing too spectacular. I'll give it a 2.5 stub jackets.
2.5. Very cool. Matthew?
Yeah, I'd have to give it a 2.5 too. There was nothing in here. I mean, this was not a season. If you weren't already watching the show, you were not going to get hooked on it by this. I mean, honestly, if I came into this never having seen The Next Generation again, I'd walk in here and be like, alright. And then also, if I'd been a fan of the series, and I'm coming back after the summer, I'd be kind of I would be disappointed as a season premiere.
Yeah,
goes.
Okay.
It's an episode, it's a run-of-the-mill, like you said, it's, mad scientist full of his own shit, does this, Wesley makes matters worse, but in the end we fix it, and everybody just kind of floats off. There's no real consequences to what happened addressed, and it's just, there's no real conflict, and it was a run-of-the-mill episode, as far as I'm concerned.
That's really interesting that you bring up no consequences, because Stubbs would have had consequences for firing at the computer core.
Yeah, you can't fire a weapon on a ship without something happening to you.
Wesley would have had consequences for creating a new civilization.
Yeah, and Picard would have had to pull a number of professional favors to get them to designate a whole planet for these things, and to do it in within a matter of hours or a day on this episode.
What's up with the Federation just being full of empty planets?
That's right. I mean, that's the thing. Is for them to get it. You said it was designated, so that took a lot. It'd be like the United States just saying, we're going to create a new island nation for this virus or whatever that we've, for the smallpox virus. That's not just something that, you press a button. That's a lot of stuff has to happen.
The status quo is probably we have people that handle that and we don't talk about it. I could see that, an alien meeting them. It's like, how are all these M-class planets, completely devoid of life that's going to clash with, who you're putting there? And Picard's like, no, it's a question we feel it's best not to ask.
Yeah, but the fact that literally, because, this is a time frame, they did this within a matter of hours, and so, it's like, how do you know that these things, you didn't do a planet, they go into this, I can't remember if they haven't done it yet, where they talk about terraforming and new planets, and they talk about how they spend years trying to make sure shit's going to work right there. And now you have a car just like, well, let's just open the door and shovel this stuff onto the planet, and then, hey, look, we're going over here.
Well, the nanites that evolved, they already knew what they needed. It's basically a machine.
But what if it throws off the balance of life on that planet? You've got a machine thing now.
It's true, but it's an empty planet.
Oh, nothing's truly empty. Wrath of Khan has told us that.
It's devoid of maybe humanoid life or animal life at an advanced level, but there could be the beginnings of life. I mean, there could be, how does it affect the plant life down there? Are you going to post a big sign that says machine, if you come into this planet, your computer core might get eaten? I mean, there's a lot going on when you do this with a... it's a lot going on if you have just with a nation or an island on a planet. Now we're talking a whole planet in a galaxy. The Ferengi may just wander over there and decide to try to weaponize them, rogue colonists. There's any sorts of things that could happen. It's not just we're going to drop this vial of nanites in the atmosphere and then leave as quickly as possible.
Well, we brought that up in the long ladder, is that all ports are closed ports in Star Trek Next Generation. That there is no exchange. So, David, you had something you want to say?
I guess I didn't pay much attention. Did they say it was an M-class planet?
Oh, I don't know.
No, they didn't.
Why would the nanites need a human habitable atmosphere?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah. Also,
who knows?
most planets are empty. In our solar system, there's only 1 out of 8 official planets that are. I mean, even if you only count the 4 ones that are made of rock, but that's still.
Pluto.
Hashtag Pluto is a planet.
All right, so Jim, what's your take on this episode?
So I've got a pretty cold Dr. Stubbs with 1 jacket out of 5. And the only reason it even gets 1 jacket was because it brought up, for me, interesting things, concerning humanity. Is do we kill life because it is destructive, or do we keep it because it is life? It brought up, how are you supposed to act as a 17-year-old?
We didn't talk about that at all, really.
And also, is it important to say your feelings no matter what? So I thought those were all really interesting things, but they didn't really get developed, and it was more. I was looking forward to it being a Wesley episode, but it ended up being much more of a Beverly episode. So I didn't really see any development with Wesley, and it was a whole lot of technobabble, which is what I do not like about sci-fi. So I don't give it a very high ranking.
Okay, it's interesting. I didn't really think of this as a Beverly episode, but you're right. It's about how she relates to her son, not how her son develops as an individual.
Because you see nothing really happens with Wesley. He gets really no development. He did a wrong thing. He doesn't really get reprimanded for it.
He did get angry, and he did yell back because he said, "I'm doing what everybody expects me to do." So they're kind of planting that seed, because it does that tree does grow, and he gets more and more upset.
A long time to grow.
Yeah, because there was no character arc. There was no denouement. So
and there's no remorse or anything either.
Right.
Yeah, I did it again.
All right.
Check mark for Tuesday.
So you said one layer of Stubbs?
1 layer of Stubbs. A very cold Dr. Stubbs.
Ooh, cold Dr. Stubbs. Nigel, how do you rate this in layers of Stubb clothing?
Well, I'll give it 2 jackets and a vest.
That's exactly what he's wearing. So
kind of jumping off of what Jim said, it seems like there were a bunch of cool-ish scenes that if they had stuck with those for the entire duration of the episode, it'd be interesting. But because I really did like that scene where he brings up the point, he's 17 and everybody expects him to be a genius and expects great things from him. That would be nice for you to be developed a little later, and what Matt said about the implications of creating a new species basically has been kind of brushed over. As a season opener, I thought it was okay.
Alright.
I mean, it is a standard cookie cutter episode, but not every episode needs to be the introduction of the Borg. I remember I actually did watch this particular episode. I mostly walked away with, it made the popcorn taste good, and that's all I really needed. There was enough sci-fi to make it fun. There was enough character development to make it interesting. So, is it a great episode? No. Is it a terrible episode? Not really.
So it sounds like it held the standard.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. And David, how do you feel about this?
2.5 or 3 maybe. I guess the thing that kicked off the plot, like the nanites getting out, a little too much of a corny, that rascally kid and his shenanigans kind of thing. It is kind of weird that they were so sort of understanding and tolerant about the whole thing. I mean, I was wondering, were they kind of secretly rooting for something bad to happen to Dr. Stubbs?
You bring up a really good point, and Matt touched on this too. Everybody gets a pass on the Enterprise. What's up with that? You just make this huge mistake, but nobody died. We're cool.
Well, the only records being kept are Picard's logs. It kind of controls what Starfleet knows.
True.
Yeah, but he still knows it. Why isn't he more mad? I mean,
what stays on the submarine? What happens on the submarine stays on the submarine.
He's just going with the flow now.
Yeah.
He's 3 years into his command.
He's got this. There's no risk. All right, so you said what, 2.5?
Yeah, or 3, whatever.
2.5 or 3. Cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us on this very interesting season premiere episode. Make sure to check out our Shore Leave series on all the places where you can get podcasts. So it's Stitcher, iTunes, the one for Google Play.
Are we on SoundCloud?
And no, we're not on SoundCloud yet. I should fix that. And then, of course, also please check out the Two True Freaks Network for all the other great stuff that's there. And, of course, always, have a wonderful day.
Next time on Star Trek: The Next Generation. A hostile alien race threatens to annihilate an entire planet.
The lives of 15,000 people are riding on you. We are not leaving.
Data's mission: force an evacuation.
You will die, and their weapons are far more powerful.
But his own life is in jeopardy. On Star Trek: The Next Generation.
So you're the guest.
So Sasha, what is Star Trek Next Generation?
I'm the guest.
So Sasha, what is Star Trek Next Generation?
Seek us out at Next Generation's First Generation at iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. Music credits include Electric Car by Poddington Bear, Broke for Free, As Colorful as Ever, Expired Inspiration by Luck and Doc, Drops of H2O by Jay Lang, Sweet Potato Pudding Dub by Red Star Martyrs, Glass Android by Lee Rosevere, Audio Engineering by Sascha Schaudies, Chief Meme Maker and episode cover credit goes to Matthew Kirschner. Logo and graphic art design credit goes to David Clawwitter. And special thanks to Patrick Delmore for working with other podcasts to make sure the good word gets out.
Do you have a podcast that you think people should be listening to? Send us your promos and we'll play them on the show. If you'd like to email the show, you can email us at nextgenfirstgenpod@gmail.com. I've been Patrick Delmore.
And this is Sascha Schaudies. Thank you very much for listening and have a wonderful day.
Good night.
If you come into this planet, your computer core might get eaten.